All right, let's talk about the Sixers and Raptors, man. Joel Embiid, he's got a torn ligament in his thumb. I mean, that's huge, especially if he's going to continue. It could if it's going to continue to affect him losing the ball, getting hit on his thumb, losing the ball, getting stripped. It's not going to be good for an aggressive Raptors team that's looking to get out on a fast break. And yeah, with the Raptors being without Fred Van Vliet, Scotty Barnes playing more on ball, Gary Trent, more shooting opportunities, and you know he's not hesitating to take a jumper. Pascal more on ball, more of a playmaker, as well as he's gonna get those spin moves. He's probably trying to average 10 spin moves a game, and I think he's probably well exceeded that because it seems like every time he drives to the hoop, there's a spin move involved. And also OG Ananobi playing good defense. I mean, he's giving energy. His shot hasn't been that great as of late, but I mean, he's playing with energy. That's really all you can ask for. Kim Birch, I don't even know why I just mentioned him. He's not doing anything. It's mostly Pascal, o- OG, Scotty, Gary Trent, Chris Boucher, Precious Achua, and for the most part, I mean, like the Raptors have done all year, running a super short, small rotation, everyone playing dang near 40 minutes a game, and grinding out possessions, and that's what the Raptors are known for. James Harden, he this is he's got to get them one. At the end of the day, they're up 3-1. If they lose this, they're in real. They might actually, if they lose this game, I low key would probably predict them to be the first team to blow a 3-0 lead. I mean, let's not bring up Doc Rivers and all the times he's blown leads. I'm not putting that all on him. This has been a lot of injuries that have resulted that's caused it, but I mean, he has been the coach for many blown series leads, and no one would be surprised if he's the one that blows the 3-0. But off that, let's off the negative aspect of things. Joel, he's still going to be a force in the paint. They still have no one to guard him and down low. And the X factor for the Sixers, I mean, probably in this series, it's probably Tobias Harris. Tobias Harris, who a lot of people believe he's overpaid, which is a very good argument because being the third best player and being paid the max is pretty crazy. But he showed out this series. He's played well. No one can deny the fact that he's played well in this series. Tyrese Maxey, he's been amazing. James Harden, I mean, he played well last game. He's been James Harden, not the superstar of the Rockets, but he's doing his thing. He's playmaking, doing his step back threes like he always does, trying to draw a million fouls. Not even trying to make the shot when he drives to the hoop, just trying to draw fouls, which is very annoying. If you're I feel like if you're not a Sixers fan, you probably hate watching the Sixers play because the fact that Joel Embiid falls to the ground as much as he does, I mean, he gets fouled, but let's not act like a 7 footer should be falling to the ground as much as Joel Embiid. And everyone knows James Harden loves to draw fouls and get to the line. That's not a bad thing. It's just when you're trying to draw fouls and not actually make shots, it just looks terrible on as a fan of basketball. It just looks crazy. But off of that, Sixers, they just need one. Tyrese Maxey and Tobias and James Harden, they got to show out because who knows if the Embiid thumb gets worse, who knows if he's going to actually feel like he's forced to miss time because when you have something structurally wrong in your thumb and you can't bend it adequately, it's hard. You can't palm the ball. You can't grip the basketball without your thumb. You can't really do much. So it's just about pain management, and even when they get through this series, how's anyone going to expect them to win a series against the Heat? How is Joel Embiid going to dominate Bam Adebayo, who is, I wouldn't even say arguably, who is the best defensive center in the league? And it would mostly come down to James Harden trying to go off, and Tyrese Maxey, when Kyle Lowry gets back, gonna have to play the series of his life, and it would really come down to Tobias Harris yet again, probably being guarded by I probably being guarded by Max Struess or Jimmy Butler or something. But I mean, that's their probably their best situation in terms of matchups, because it's more than likely that PJ Tucker is going to be on James Harden that entire series and going to make his life hell. So yeah, it's rough. They need this extra break. This break is everything to them. They need to win. They need to beat the Raptors right now. They do not want to go back to Toronto. They need the extra rest for and beats them if nothing else. And it's hard for me to imagine them when, especially if Thaddeus Young plays like he played in game in nah, there's no shot. If he plays how he played in game 4, they're probably losing again. I'm not going to lie. Thaddeus Young was the X factor in last game. He did everything for the Raptors. I hope the Raptors continue to play him those significant minutes, because if he continues to play how he played when he was on the Sixers back in the day, then it's gonna be very rough for these Sixers to close this out. I actually am going to predict that the Raptors win this game. I'm not confident in it at all, and I honestly I want them to win more than anything. I want this series to go 7, and I believe if they win today in game 5, I do believe that it will go 7. And in a game 7, with all the momentum on your side, who knows? Anything could happen. But you have Thaddeus Young playing amazingly. Gary Trent shooting well. He has to continue to shoot well. If he's not on, you're just hoping for. I mean, you're hoping for Scotty to step up. Pascal's going to do what Pascal does. He's going to play with energy. He's going to facilitate. He's going to play make. He's going to spin, and he's going to get some buckets. But ultimately, at the end of the day, it's coming down to how well can Joel Embiid deal with this ligament injury in his thumb, and who can, and if he can't play to how he has played prior to his injury, who's going to step up? Is it going to be Tyrese Maxey like he did games 1 and 2? Is it going to be Tobias, who stepped up in games 2 and 3? And or who else would it be? Honestly, George, would it be Niang? Highly doubtful, because he's not going to have the ball in his hands too much. He can spot up shoot off of playmaking from Harden and Maxey, however, which would be very impactful. However, he wouldn't take over the game. Like, that's what I'm saying. If ball in your hands, who's going to take over the game if Embiid can't do what he usually does? Harden, Maxey, Harris, all of them need to step up, and they should be able to close this out in 5. However, this series has been interesting. I'll say that it's been interesting. I thought that Embiid would be even more dominant. He's been dominant in this series because they have no one big enough to even potentially guard him. But that's not an excuse. He's been doing this all season. He's he's been doing great. I mean, this last game, all the lost balls and being stripped, you can tell he's always shaking his hand and like trying to massage his thumb out. It felt like throughout the entire game, and that's scary hours for the Sixers, not just for the rest of this series, but for any potential series coming up in the future. So hopefully Joel Embiid can handle this. Hopefully, um, these games continue to be as great as they have been in the first four, and we'll see what happens, man. That's pretty much all I have to say. The Raptors. It sucks for Fred Van Vliet. You could see he ripped his jersey. You can see the disappointment in his face. He knew that. I thought it was his knee, but his hip. You know that he knew how serious it was. He's been dealing with injuries on and off all season, which is gonna happen when you're playing players like Nick Nurse has been doing, playing them Thibodeau minutes, 40 minutes a game, 42 minutes sometimes. Injuries are bound to happen. That's a lot of wear and tear on the body, and it's just unfortunately catching up to them right now. So they're the thing about them though is they, even though they have a short rotation, he's just going to tighten the rotation even more with with a lot of depth on their team. For the small rotation they have a decent amount of depth and length that can really bother the Sixers, which is losing Van Vliet and playing more Thaddeus and Achua and Boucher is just honestly it's just going to bring more length defensively. That's going to be an issue for the Sixers. So it's a give and take. An offensive, it takes away a lot on offense, but it may add a little bit on defense. But who knows? I honestly, when the season or series started, I had Raptors winning the series. I don't remember if it was in 6 or 7, but I had the Raptors winning. I did believe that it would come down to um, who's going to step up for the Raptors. I thought Fred Van Vliet would be a huge factor, and unfortunately, he's injured. So, and even then, I probably still would have been wrong because the Sixers have been the better team in this series. There's no debating that. So, with that being said, hopefully we have a great rest of the series, and I'm signing out.